From your Android or iPhone, download the Radio Cayman app now on your Android or iOS phone.
The Radio Cayman app
is where you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere you go.
Everywhere we go, we go. Everywhere we go, we go.
Find it in the Google Store, the Apple Store, or use the link at www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Yes, now you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health. And JN Money.
From abroad to yard.
Fast, affordable, convenient.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Ort Connor.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, O land of soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees so fair. Today is March the 16th, 2022, right here in the beautiful Cayman Islands. I hope and I trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable evening. And those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, whether you're a pedestrian or a cyclist or operating any type of motorized vehicle on the roads, we urge you to please be extremely cautious. Please ensure that you observe the rules of the road. Remember, the life you save may be your own. For those of you who are heading west from the eastern districts, again, you want to exercise caution. Remember the road works that are being done not only in the Hurley's Grand Harbor area and the Prospect Roundabout, but also further down on Linford Pearson Highway in the vicinity of the equestrian, I'm going to call it the Equestrian Center. Road work also being done there. None while I speak, but there are cones in the road there, so you want to ensure that you exercise extra caution in that area as well. But on approaching the Hurley's roundabout, again, it is going to be extremely important for you to establish where you want to go, decide whether you're going south sound or otherwise. Get in your lane early. We know that that can be extremely difficult for some, especially if you are entering the roundabout from the Red Bay Primary School area. When you're coming around there, you obviously are going to be in the extreme right-hand lane. And if you're going to South Sound, if you want to try to get over into the left lane, it's going to be extremely tricky. I know people, I experienced it this morning. People are going to be cutting in front of you suddenly, not waiting for you to give way. So you need to be extremely cautious. Do not drive aggressively in that area because it is stop and go traffic. If you must change lanes, then of course you indicate, but also wait for the driver to give way to you to allow you to go in front of them for you to get over. I'm not sure. I haven't really looked at the layout of that, how that is going to work yet, but it's going to be pretty tricky for those persons in the extreme right-hand lane and wanting to go to South Sound to get over to that left-hand lane in such a short distance, probably less than a quarter mile for you to get over, and it is bumper to bumper traffic, what they call rubbernecking, all the way until that roundabout. So the word is, please be extremely cautious in that area. Try to establish where you're going early and get into that lane and stay in that lane. Because you see another lane moving a little better, and you're tempted to switch over to that lane. 9 times out of 10, when you move over to that lane, as soon as you get over there, traffic is going to slow down in that lane, and the lane that you were in starts to move again. What does that tell you? Stay where you are, and you're likely to end up in a better position than if you switch. And if you do think that you end up in a better position, what is it to gain 30 seconds or 20 seconds on your way to work or to your final destination? To gain 20 seconds and to put yourself and others in danger, folks, that's a no-brainer. So again, the word is please be extremely cautious in that area. I'm spending a little bit more time talking about that this morning simply because it is extremely, extremely important. And 6:30 in the morning, traffic in that area, it's bad. This time of the morning, folks, it's even worse. It's even worse. So that's why I'm spending a little bit more time on that this morning. For those of you who are celebrating a birthday today, we want to wish you a happy birthday. And we want to wish happy birthday to Mr. Tommy Ebanks. He's celebrating a birthday today, but he's also extending birthday greetings to Mark Watler, Mr. Mark Watler, Funkatang, Mr. Philip Ebanks, T. Grant, and also Bill Riso. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Bill Riso. All of them are celebrating birthdays today. I can't say to you that because of Tommy Ebanks' birthday that at the Sherwin-Williams paint store, I believe that's what the name, I can't say to you that any special discount is being given at that store today on anything that you purchase because of his birthday. But he does have good prices in there. Tommy, you're going to have to pay for this commercial that is being run now for your paint store. You're going to have to send in a donation to Radio Cayman for this little plug that you're getting here. But he does have good prices and good products in there as well. So happy birthday to Tommy Ebanks, Mark Watler, Funkatang, Philip Ebanks, T. Grant, and Bill Riso. Okay, for those of you who have lost loved ones, again, we want to express our sincere condolences to you. We hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these very challenging times, and also that the memories of your loved ones will be a blessing to you. For those of you who are ill, either at home or at a medical facility, we wish you a speedy recovery as well. So, folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Art Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. During that period, our phone lines are open. The radio voice of Silver Fox, Mr. Paula Call, waiting to take your calls. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flo. That toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. Email us at fortherecord, one word, fortherecord at candw.ky. WhatsApp us 925-3261, where you can send us a text message or leave us a voice note, the contents of which will be played during the course of the show. And of course, you can follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. In the studio with me this morning, none other than Dr. Steve McField. And if you guessed it correctly, yes, you're right. We're going to be talking about the Privy Council's decision in relation to the Chantel, the Day Borden case, as well as the Bermuda case as well. But before I go to Dr. Steve McField, we do have a caller, so we're going to grab that caller early. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Please, sorry to change the subject a little, but if you tolerate me a couple of seconds, I'd let you know where it goes.
Certainly, sir. Certainly, sir. Not a problem.
I noticed on the Linford Pearson extension coming west or south, whatever it is, across Agnes Via or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me if they intend to still keep that big bend in that road? Because it looks like they're preparing on one side of it, at least maybe to expand it. Or are they going to straighten that? Because it would be a shame to leave that with that big curve. It is dangerous. It's very sharp, and it's not any help to the bypass being not much of a bend in the road. I sure hope that this has been resolved, that they'll be able to straighten that out around the area where that horse farm or whatever it is.
I believe that the statements that were made initially and the plans were, or one of the reasons for the expansion there was also to straighten the road out in that area. And it would appear that that will probably happen because I think now, bear in mind also that the diameter of that roundabout, that little roundabout there, is going to be enlarged as well. So that, that means that those lanes will then be further out. Yeah.
Well, I trust that. I see where they're preparing the site or the side to the existing paving on the left side or on the south side of it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So it doesn't show any change as far as that curve is concerned. That's why I'm concerned that it might be leaving it as it is, and that would be a shame.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, yes, yeah.
I don't know, Mr. Tommy, how they're going to do it. I know that the cabinet some time ago gave permission to the NRA to exercise their eminent domain principles. That means to compulsory purchase that place for public purpose. But I know that the government is not doing that because I think the people wanted too much money for it. And the government is saying that they're not going to spend that kind of money to pay for that place. So, and of course, you know, on the other side of the road where the rail is, there's a deep ravine there. They would, so I don't know how they are going to do that. But they are planning to have 3 lanes up and 3 lanes down in that area, 6 lanes. So I believe that they have been able to obtain more property from Bobby Thompson, and I think that the object was to straighten that bend. I don't know if they're going to go around that on the other side of the rail or what they're going to do there, but I know that that roundabout is going to be widened to include 6 lanes, 3 lanes up and 3 lanes down.
Mm-hmm. And also, Mr. Tommy, I'm not sure, and I'll try to take a look during the course of the show as well, but maybe on the NRA's website, they may have something up there in terms of what their plans are and diagrams in terms of what they're going to do in that area as well.
Well, I did see a poster or a plaque, whatever, on the side of the road there yesterday that it doesn't indicate. I don't believe that it's going to have that big curve, but I'm still concerned that if they were preparing it on the side of the existing curve, why would they be doing that if they're going to straighten it?
Yes, I came down this morning too, and I was thinking about the same thing.
Anyway, I just thought I would check that out because that should be taken care of. Should have been done years ago.
Yes.
Anyway, they should not continue that unless it's going to be straightened.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Tommy, for that. Thank you very much. Paul, let's take that commercial break now, folks. Please stay tuned. When we return, I will introduce Dr. Steve Macfield. Of course, he needs no introduction, but we always observe that here on Radio Cayman as well. So please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
Radio Cayman is government-owned. Radio Cayman's first broadcast was in Easter of 1976. We officially began broadcasting in December of the same year. We used to end our broadcast day at 11:30 p.m. and signed off for the night. Years later, we began broadcasting 24/7. Radio Cayman is a hybrid of community, public, and commercial radio. Radio Cayman offers news, talk, and music. And our sister station, Breeze FM, which was started in the 80s, offers music and news headlines. Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman's historical vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Hello, boys and girls. I'm Zara. If you are students in Cayman between 3 and 16 years old and love reading books like I do, welcome to the first Rotary Central Video Book Report competition. Record your short video, no more than 90 seconds, on why you love your favorite book, what made you excited, or what made you laugh. There are lots of fabulous prizes. Too many to talk about now. For further information and sign up, go to Rotary Central Cayman Islands Facebook page or email david.rotarycentral@gmail.com. Record your book report video and send it by March 31st. So easy, so fun. The Rotary Central Cayman Islands Video Book Report Competition. Rotary serves to change lives.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
Thinking of getting a hybrid but don't know much about them? Vamp Motors has 3 great reasons why you should own the Toyota CHR. Hybrid save fuel, run cleaner, reduce CO2 emissions, and even recharge their batteries while being driven. So there's no need to plug in your hybrid, making it both economical and fun to drive. And you don't have to replace your battery every 2 years. The CHR Hybrid is reliable, providing up to 1 million kilometers on the same battery and engine. Oh, and now you can save $2,000 off the Toyota CHR, starting at only $33,500.
That's way more than 3 reasons.
True, but the best one is that it's on sale now. Test drive the Toyota CHR today at Vant Motors, Walkers Road, while stocks last.
JN Money, money touchdown. Send the money now. Reach wow. You say you need some money, JN Money, I can send it in a hurry. Get through quick when you come collect your cash, or use a money card and swipe it in a flash. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah. Send and receive funds at any JN Money location. It's fast, affordable, and convenient. Money touchdown with JN Money. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah.
Call 345-945-2014 for details. Available at JN Money locations across the Cayman Islands.
System 1 loaded. 1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Dr. Steve Macfield. Doc, we do have a caller, but I want to introduce you first and say good morning to you. And thank you for being here with me again this morning as well. Of course, Monday would have really been the ideal time, but I had guests on Monday. So, thanks for being here.
Thank you very much, Mr. For the Record, for asking me to come back on your show. And good morning to you, and good morning to all the people in the For the Record land, and all the people who listen to you Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And good morning to all the people in the Cayman diaspora.
Okay, thank you
It's
very much.
very good to be here, and I'm so happy and anxious to discuss a very, very, very important topic, a very important judgment that sets the rest a controversy that has been affecting our country for several years now.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to the phone lines then. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, moderator, Mr. O'Connor.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Maxfield.
Good morning, sir.
I'm grateful to be alive, and I'd like to thank Radio Cayman for being this indispensable instrument of community and community fabric, helping to make sure that our culture and everything about us stays alive. Our youth parliament has to be commended. The people who have organized it have done a remarkable job. The performance of our youth parliament over the last few days has been nothing but spectacularly erudite.
Mm-hmm.
The speaker, the designated person, young lady for speaker, has been remarkable in her ability to deliver on the Bible of parliamentary process, Erskine May. And I can assure you, the future of the Cayman Islands is in great hands with the young people who have been manifest in their depth of knowledge, their courage to be able to take on very significant subjects of importance. They did well, and it was not just a day for speaking, it was a day of revelation. Thank you very much, Radio Cayman, for helping to relay this to our public.
Thank you very much, and thanks to you and your organization also in terms of what you do as far as the Youth Parliament is concerned as well, caller. Okay, Doc, we have about 10 minutes, and so first of all, tell us, in your opinion, why both judgments, not only in the Cayman Islands, but the judgment of the Privy Council in terms of the Bermuda case as well, why that is so important to us. And I note that in the case itself, a reference is made to the United States and Plessy versus Ferguson. And later on, I'm going to share an article that was written, an opinion page in the Bermuda newspaper about that as well, and pointing out that at the end of the day, the dissenting justice in the Bermuda case, it may be one of those situations where later on that Plessy versus Ferguson ended up being so important and so pivotal as well. But your views?
Well, just let's take the Cayman position first.
Okay. Uh-huh.
It is obvious, and now the judgment of the highest court in the Commonwealth, our highest court of appeal, has stated formally that Section 14.1 of our Constitution does not afford marriage to people of the same sex.
Mm-hmm.
That is what has been, that is the judgment of the Privy Council. In the Bermuda case, the issue there was whether the law that prohibits same-sex marriage was unconstitutional,
Mm-hmm.
and the Privy Council said that the law that prohibits same-sex marriage in Bermuda is not unconstitutional. So those are the two distinctions.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Now, what has happened with the Privy Council case? Let us go to what the argument was of the Cayman government.
Yeah.
Okay. And the Cayman government's case was put to the judges, the 5 judges, by Miss Dina Rose, QC, for the government. And this is what Section 30 of the judgment says. Miss Dina Rose for the government relied on the reasons given by the Court of Appeal. She submits that in providing for a specific right to marry under certain conditions, Section 14.1 is a lex specialis, which has the effect that no right to enter into the same-sex marriage can be found to exist in any of the other provisions of the Bill of Rights. The other provisions are general in their terms and cannot be taken to displace or circumvent the way in which the drafters of the Constitution have specified the express right to marry as incorporated in the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights must be interpreted as a coherent whole. This means that the principle of interpretation encapsulated in the Latin maxim "Les specialis derogat legale general," which means the specific law prevails over the general, and the generalis specialis non derogat general provisions should not undermine the intent and effect of provisions specially drafted to deal with the particular case, which is a principle of coherent interpretation of legal instruments of any character is applicable. Section 14.1 is the specific provisions in the Bill of Rights which deals with the right to marry. The right is defined in limited terms, which do not cover same-sex couples, and that limitation cannot be circumvented seeking to rely on other general rights which do not address the topics of marriage directly. Mr. Fitzgerald's attempt to rely on Section 16.7 is misplaced. Section 14.1 denies the right to marry, and the limits it specifies are limits to that right, not as restricted or authorized for the purpose of that section. Within the meaning of Section 16.7, Section 16.7 does not authorize a court to subject the scope of the right in Section 41 to a test of justification. Ms. Rose submitted that the interpretation of the Bill of Rights is clear without any need to recourse to the Travik's preparations in the form of what had been said during the negotiations or the Constitution. But if necessary, she relied on Mr. Henry's statement during the negotiations in support of her submissions. She also should the issue arise, Ms. Rose submits that the Chief Justice had misapplied Section 5 of the Constitution in amending the marriage law as he did. So it says that Section 14.1 is a specific section, and you cannot impose other constitutions from other jurisdictions or laws from other jurisdictions to try to interpret it, and you cannot circumvent it by Section 5.
The general provisions of the
Constitution. And this argument was upheld by the Privy Council, and the Privy Council has made it clear that you do not. In other words, the Privy Council is saying the words in Section 14.1 is specific and is clear enough, and it prohibits it, and you cannot bring provisions and it goes on to say also that the argument that it is the right to marry is in the Bill of Rights in the European Convention. It says the right to marry in Section 14.1 of the Bill of Rights has been drafted in highly specific terms to make it clear that it is a right freely to marry a person of the opposite sex. Comparing Section 14.1 with Article 12 of the European Convention on Human Rights, which was the model for it, it's obvious that this language has been used to emphasize the limited ambit of the right to ensure that it could not be read as capable of covering same-sex marriages to traditional Christian values in the preamble to the Constitution, and the reference to the distinct history, culture, and Christian values in Section 1, 2, and A of the Bill of Rights reinforced the point by referring to the cultural and religious values which led to this emphasis being given to opposite-sex marriage in Section 14.1. And it says Section 14.1 reflects the Christian, cultural, and historical values of the Cayman Islands, which is part of our Constitution. And of course also went on to say that this was put to a referendum, and the Caymanian people went and voted for it. And the only way that this can be changed would be the legislature to have it change.
Okay. Now, I noticed the reference that was made to Ian Henry.
Yes.
And obviously, they went back and looked at the constitutional negotiations as well, which is one of the things that I have suggested to people in the past when we talk about when the whole debate about single member constituencies and other things, that if you really want to know what was intended, go to those constitutional negotiations.
And read the minutes.
Right.
And read the minutes there.
I think there's maybe even, I don't think there's audio on it, but they were all there, and they're on the Constitutional Commission's website where you can see exactly, what transpired there. But I have a few more questions, for you later on in relation to this person who argued in terms of the government, who argued the government's case here. Obviously did quite an excellent job. What kind of future does she have in the legal profession now as a result of having this feather in her cap as well? Folks, top of the hour, 8 o'clock news. When we return, the conversation with Dr. Steve Macfield will continue, so please stay tuned.
Yes.
Radio Cayman Time Check is now 8 a.m. This time check is brought to you by our friends at Foster's.
March in Cayman is hot, but at Foster's, it's frozen.
Frozen Food Month is back, and you could win one of 5 $250 Foster's cards. To enter, just purchase any 5 products from the frozen department from now until March 31st.
You could grab frozen pizzas for dinner, frozen berries for your morning smoothies, or frozen plant-based sausages for something different.
Exactly! Just purchase any 5 frozen products and enter online at fosters.ky/frozen food month.
Foster's, better because we care.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Karsley Fuller. A snapshot of the island's finances for January and February 2022. Radio Cayman's April Cummings has more.
Year to date, the Cayman Islands government is reporting revenues of CI $355.4 million, $2.7 million better than the budgeted projection of $352.7 million. It's also an increase of $44.9 million over the same period in 2021 and $55 million CI better than the same period in 2019, which is the last pre-pandemic year on record. Government reports operating expenses of $146.1 million CI dollars, $9.1 million better than the budgeted estimate, and an operating surplus of $209.3 million. This also was higher than the budget forecast of $197.5 million. The positive variance in revenues compared to the 2022 budget was attributed to better-than-expected performance in partnership fees at $4 million, mutual fund administrators' license fees at $3.4 million, private fund fees at $3.2 million, and work permit fees at $2.4 million. April Cummings, Radio Cayman News.
The Deputy Premier and Minister for Finance and Economic Development, the Honorable Chris Saunders, presented the Cayman Islands government's unaudited financial report for the 2-month period to Cabinet on Tuesday. He says for the first time in the island's history, net assets reached the $2 billion mark. Work continues to address the gridlock coming to and from the eastern districts, trapping residents in long commutes. More from CIG TV's Donna Bush.
Well, the Ministry of Infrastructure and the National Roads Authority announces that Phase 2 of the Linford-Pearson Highway widening project started on Monday. The work includes the widening of the road from 2 travel lanes to 6 travel lanes between the Agnes Way roundabout and the traffic signal at Bobby Thompson Way and Smith Road. The road will feature a raised solid grass median along with enhanced drainage and street lighting once completed. Infrastructure Minister, the Honorable J.E. Banks, has reiterated government's commitment to continuing road projects across Grand Cayman. He says the teams at the NRA have been putting in place a number of improvement projects that will make a real difference to road users, whether drivers, cyclists, or pedestrians. The overall goal is to reduce traffic jams during the evening and morning peak hours. Now, the NRA will utilize areas of the current roadway to put in place a temporary road scheme which will provide some immediate relief from congestion while crews work on placement of utilities and expansion of lanes for the permanent scheme. Motorists and all road users are being asked to proceed through the construction zone with extra caution, watching out for signs and road markings as lane configuration may change periodically throughout the duration of construction. The entire project is estimated to last for some 16 months.
And a heads up for those planning to be in the Elgin Avenue area Thursday. Crews are going to be installing underground CUC ducts. So a section of the eastbound lane of Elgin between Claude Hill Road and the C&B Roundabout will be closed tomorrow from 9:30 to 3:30 p.m. Police say during the road work, eastbound traffic will utilize the turning lane in order to minimize the disruption to traffic, but be forewarned, you can expect minor delays. And if you can, you should avoid the area until the work is complete. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Karsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News with Jerry Smith. Russian forces have continued to attack targets across Ukraine 3 weeks into the war, despite both sides speaking of a possible compromise. The emergency services in the capital Kyiv say a 12-storey residential building has been hit by shellfire. Officials say Russian forces have for the first time targeted civilian infrastructure in the southeastern city of Zaporizhia. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has said peace talks with Russia are beginning to sound more realistic. The Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said the two sides were close to agreement in some areas. The president of the International Committee of the Red Cross, who's arrived in Ukraine for a 5-day visit, says people there are crying out for help. Peter Maurer called for better access to civilians caught up in the war. The ICRC is especially worried about Mariupol, where tens of thousands of people are still trapped. Jens Stoltenberg has opened a meeting of NATO defence ministers with a declaration that the alliance is united in its support for Ukraine. BBC News.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com. Did you know that ValueMed Pharmacy has a free online prescription service? Managing your health and medical requirements has never been easier with ValueMed. Simply visit value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com and click the Refill Prescriptions tab on our website. Fill in the information for new prescriptions or refills and choose your preferred pickup location. ValueMed on Walkers Road or Town. Then bring in your original prescription from your doctor when picking up. There's no need to stand in line and wait for your prescription. Save time and pick up prescriptions at your convenience by visiting value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach. Attention Caymanian job seekers. Do you want to know what jobs are available right now in the Cayman Islands? See all available jobs listed by occupation in the Jobs Cayman job directory printed in this week's local newspapers. Pick up the newspaper to see all available jobs listed by occupation. Then go to www.work.ky. That's WORC.ky to register and apply online.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
Good morning, everyone. Hello? Hello? Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Okay, I see we have just about everyone, and of course Tom drops off, as per usual. Let's just wait a minute here. He always comes right back, and we're almost ready, and... oh, whoever's dog that is, please go on mute. Why won't it let me share my screen? Okay, looks like we're ready to start.
We're like a video conference with no technical issues. CG Britcay. Good like that.
Good morning, Cayman. Let's take a look at your weather. Compliments of our friends at CG Britcay. Present temperature 77 degrees Fahrenheit. Nice and sunny on the outside. Feels like about 85. Winds are out of the east-southeast at 4 miles per hour. Relative humidity 83%. Last night's dew point was at 73. Barometric pressure still at 30.00 but falling. Light winds and slight seas are expected from tomorrow morning as a cold front moves across the Gulf of Mexico. So our forecast for today, mainly fair skies, 20% chance of showers. Temperatures will rise to the mid-80s. Winds will be east to southeast at 5 to 10 knots. Seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. Then later tonight, partly cloudy skies, 20% chance of showers. Temperatures will fall to the mid-70s. Winds will be east to southeast at 5 to 10 knots. Seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. High tide is coming up at 8:38 this morning. It's going to be low at 2:53 this afternoon. High at 8:49 this evening. For tomorrow, low tide is at 2:57 a.m. High at 8:59 a.m. Low at 3:18 p.m. and high at 9:24 p.m. The sunset this evening is at 6:34. Sunrise for Thursday morning will be at 6:32. And the outlook is for similar weather through Friday evening. That's your latest weather right here on your Radio Cayman.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
Head east on Cove Road. Sharp left on Church Street. Sharper left. No, your other left. Did I say left? Nope, you missed it. Okay, I'm lost.
With money-saving bundling options for home and motor, we're like a GPS that doesn't steer you wrong. CG Britcay. Good like that.
Let's stop and ask for directions.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
All right, good morning, my friends. Let's take a quick look at how the traffic situation is in the Georgetown area. Shedden Road, Eastern Avenue, getting very much busy. Traffic feeding off of Godfrey Nixon Way and traffic coming out of the West Bay area. Along the SLE Tibbetts, good flow of traffic there. And heading eastward towards Dorsey Drive, a little bit of traffic congestion in that area, but of course will clear up as the morning progresses. Coming out of the eastern districts, looking at the East-West Crichton Boulevard arterial area. A little bit of traffic still, but the majority of traffic already made its way into Georgetown. Getting to the roundabout, the Century 21 roundabout, where the main confusion is. Got some traffic in that vicinity. Those going through South Sound will experience some traffic. As you meet up towards Walker's Road, heading up that way, you'll experience some traffic there as well, and similar with Charles Church Street. Continuing on the Linford Pearson, expect some traffic in that area. Heading out to the Bobby Thompson Way, of course, works are going on in that area, which of course is, as they say, it's going to take 16 months to do. Expect some traffic in that area. Bobby Thompson Way, traffic is moving as you get to the four-way stop. Similar Crew Road, traffic moving slowly. For those of you turning north towards Shedden Road, expect some traffic there. Of course, traffic is expected in the usual areas this morning time, and it should clear up within the hour. We expect some delays this morning time. Cayman Brack and Little Cayman, very light traffic in that area. Of course, your traffic report is brought to you by our good friends at Subway.
Subway makes it easy for you to stay on top of your health and wellness goals with our Fresh Fit menu options. Choose from 5 Fresh Fit Subway sandwiches with only 450 calories or less per 6-inch sub. Turkey breast, veggie, oven-roasted chicken, Black Forest ham, sweet onion chicken teriyaki, or make your 6-inch Fresh Fit sub into a salad or wrap prepared with fresh vegetables. For a full menu and nutritional information, visit subway.ky. Subway, eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Refilling and transferring your prescriptions have never been this easy. Simply go to healthcarepharmacy.ky and follow the easy directions from your desktop, mobile device, or tablet. All you need to do is pop into Healthcare Pharmacy in Grand Harbor to collect your prescription. They're open 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Saturday and 10 till 6 on Sundays and public holidays. No waiting in line, no wasting your lunch hour, no stress. Just easy online prescription refills and transfers from the pharmacy that has been caring about your health for 25 years. Call 947-8900 to speak to a pharmacist or go to healthcarepharmacy.ky and make life easy.
The 6:30 p.m. weather report, Monday through Friday, is proudly sponsored by CG Britcay. Insurance, health, pensions, life, where people come first.
They really made a mark.
Vroom, vroom. No, I can't get this out, you know.
You mean them tire marks?
Yeah, boy.
That John Reno revving up his bike up in here, you know.
And we gotta get it out too, you know, because more honorees coming on next week.
I can't wait to hear more inspiring stories.
You'll join us this Wednesday from 4 to 5 p.m. on Radio K-Man, 89.9 FM, for YouthFlex, the program for all people, by young people. YouthFlex, more talk.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio K-Man.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It is my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning none other than Dr. Steve McField. Doc, we're going to come back later to that question about the QC who argued the case, the government's case in front of the Privy Council.
Miss Rose.
Yes, yeah. We'll come back to her later. Of course, it's important, who you have to represent you because your opponents, the other side, they're not going to argue your case for you.
Exactly. They sure not.
They're not going to argue, so
yes.
You have to be on the ball. So we have some statements that have been issued. One issued this morning by the Honorable Wayne Patton, Premier of the Cayman Islands. I will share that with you. I will share one that was issued earlier in the week. That was issued on Monday, the 14th of March, by the Governor's office, and is a statement by the Governor in response to the Privy Council judgment. And it reads, the Privy Council judgment clarifies a point of law. It ruled that the Court of Appeals was correct in its approach to the interpretation of the Bill of Rights and that it cannot be construed as including a right for same-sex couples to marry. I note that clarification on an important constitutional matter. I know that many, and this is the Governor speaking now, I know that many in our community who have strong religious beliefs on this matter will welcome the judgment, but I recognize that Chantel and Vicky and many others in our community will be very disappointed by the outcome. I must pay tribute to Chantel and Vicky for their courage and determination in standing up for their rights over the last 5 years. They have inspired many through their actions. Goes on to say that same-sex marriage is legal throughout the United Kingdom and in several UK overseas territories. Going forward, it is a policy matter for the elected government as to whether it now wishes to introduce same-sex marriages in Cayman. That would provide equality between heterosexual and same-sex couples. Although the case for same-sex marriages was not accepted, the Cayman Islands does have legislation which grants legal protection to same-sex couples, which is functionally equivalent to marriage. Up to the end of 2021, 47 couples have used that legislation to enter into a civil partnership and have their rights recognized in law. That includes many heterosexual as well as same-sex couples. The release goes on to say, it would seem to me that everyday life in our community was not affected by civil partnership legislation. But it is important to those who have entered into civil partnerships. We owe it to all to create a safe environment for people to be who they want to be. He goes on to say that I encourage everyone to continue to show acceptance, respect, and tolerance towards others. That will make us even stronger as a community. So, very well said, very diplomatically put by the governor speaking, of course, on behalf of the government of the United Kingdom. This morning, Wednesday the 16th of March, we have received a release from the Premier, Honorable Wayne Panton, MP, JP, and it reads, the Privy Council on Monday released its judgment in relation to the appeal by Chantal Day and Vicky Bush against the decision of the Court of Appeals of the Cayman Islands on the question of whether the Bill of Rights of the Cayman Islands supported a right to same-sex marriage. The substance of the appeal originated in the decision of the Grand Court in 2019 that the Marriage Act was in conflict with the Bill of Rights and that it was necessary to amend the Marriage Act to comply with these obligations. The government successfully appealed the decision of the Grand Court to the Court of Appeals, and it is that decision that was the substance of the appeal to the Privy Council. The Privy Council is the highest court of appeal for the United Kingdom's overseas territories, and this decision makes it clear now that the Constitution, inclusive of the Bill of Rights of the Cayman Islands, does not confer a right to same-sex marriage. Specifically, it does confer a right for every unmarried man and woman of marriageable age freely to marry a person of the opposite sex and found a family. The release goes on to say, this decision also makes it clear that the Privy Council agrees with the Court of Appeal that the interpretation of the Bill of Rights as reflected in their ruling, quote, does not prevent Parliament in the Cayman Islands from introducing legislation to recognize same-sex marriage, close of quote. Following the passage into law of the Civil Partnerships Law 2020, both same-sex and opposite couples may be united in a civil partnership which affords the functional equivalent of marriage. Unfortunately, the enactment of this act is being challenged by way of a judicial review. Should that succeed, government will be in breach of its obligation to provide a mechanism for a union with functional equivalent to marriage and will be required to respond. This is clear from the decision of the Court of Appeals in 2019. The issue of same-sex marriage is an emotive one in our islands, with strong views held by those in support of and those against same-sex marriages. As we process the Privy Council's ruling, we must remember to conduct ourselves with respect and civility. While there are those Caymanians who believe in the traditional definition of marriage, I recognize, that is the Premier speaking now, I recognize that times are changing. Many of the younger generations of Caymanians have different views on the issue of marriage, and this may become an issue of social justice in time to come. In the meantime, as Premier, I have an obligation under the law to ensure that all people, especially any minority group, are treated fairly and without discrimination. The Constitution provides clear guidance on the matter of non-discrimination, and the Civil Partnerships Law Act provides for legal recognition of same-sex unions. No matter your view on the issue of same-sex marriage, I ask that you discuss your views respectfully and with due consideration to the feelings and emotions of others. I would like to acknowledge the efforts of the men and women who made arguments on both sides and to express my appreciation for the work of the Privy Council. And the release ends there. So the Premier has not gone out on a limb, too far out on a limb in terms of what he has said, because he also recognizes that the enactment of the Civil Partnerships law, that is being challenged in court, even though there are those who believe that that challenge doesn't have as much chance as a snowflake in hell to be successful.
I don't think so.
But it is still there.
It's my opinion. I don't think that challenge has any success. But I think that what the governor did on the Section 81 of the Constitution is within his remit, within his power to do. But let's go back to what the Court of Appeal said. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of talking about the appealing to the European courts for a remedy to try to overcome this decision of the Privy Council. The court has made it quite plain that there is not much you can glean from the European Convention of Human Rights that will support or undermine this judgment. Mm-hmm. Because this is what it says. It says in the present case, the European Convention of Human Rights is a treaty which is applicable in relation to the Cayman Islands and which forms part of the background against which the Constitution was promulgated. However, as noted by the Court of Appeal and as appears below, the European Convention of Human Rights does not include a right for same-sex couples to marry. So the latter principles identified by Lord Hoffman does not assist the appellants in this case. Mm-hmm. In other words, the court, that's the Privy Council, looked at all of those cases, looked at the European Convention of Human Rights, and say, although that human rights is a treaty in which applies to the Cayman Islands, it does not overcome the specific draft of the Section 14 in our Constitution. And it goes on to say, and I think that someone sent a message to you, saying that the Court of Appeal, that the Privy Council did not have to look at the transcripts of Mr. Hendry's and all the stuff that went on during the rounds of negotiations. That is true. Yes. This is what the court said. The Court of Appeal reached its conclusion on the interpretation of the Bill of Rights without needing to refer to the transcripts of Mr. Henry's statement in the third round of negotiations leading to the adoption of the Constitution. Similarly, the board reaches its conclusion without reference to this material. In an appropriate case, reference to the Travax preparatories for an instrument like the Constitution may be relevant. However, it is not appropriate in this case in view of and listen what the court says, the clarity and precision of the drafting of Section 14.1. So it says Section 14.1 is precise and the drafting is so clear that you don't need to refer to the negotiations of the Constitution when we were dealing with the Constitution.
Because if for instance there was any question of legislative intent or intent, then you may go back to those talks and see exactly, if you could glean from the discussions what the intentions were.
Yes, and then the court went on to say, Mr. For the record, it said, furthermore, the Constitution was adopted pursuant to a process involving a vote by the public to approve it in a referendum. It was the instrument as approved by the public in that referendum which was adopted by as the Constitution. The public were entitled to understand that they were voting to approve the Constitution in the form in which it was presented to them, interpreted in the light of the context and circumstances in the public domain at the time. The transcript of Mr. Hendry's comments was not available to the public when they voted to approve the Constitution, so the board doubts whether in principle it could be said that these comments can properly be qualified as an aid in interpreting it. As Lord Diplock said in the case of Fothergill against Monarch Airlines, elementary justice, or the need for legal certainty demands that the rules by which the citizen is to be bound should be ascertainable by him. So the board looked at everything in a comprehensive way and says that Section 14.1 is so specifically drafted that it overcomes everything else. It overcomes even the European Convention of Human Rights. We made that same principle. We reiterated that same principle when this first came up as in the public domain and debate on this show.
Yes.
On this show, we said that we doubted that Section 14.1 could be overturned because it was so specific and it didn't need an interpretation from Section 5 of the Constitution. And now we have it in black and white. And I don't know where. Now, the last thing that the court said was that the legislature has the right to it said the board takes this opportunity to reiterate the point. Now, this is not judgment. This is their opinion. This is not judgment. This is not part of the judgment or ratio of the case.
Okay.
This is what they say, by the way.
Yes. Okay.
The board says now they're giving their opinion. Now they're not giving the judgment. They're giving their opinion. The board takes this opportunity to reiterate their point made by the Court of Appeal that the interpretation to be given to the Bill of Rights, as explained in this judgment, does not prevent the Legislative Assembly from introducing legislation to recognize the same-sex marriage. That's what it says.
Okay. Now, here's a point that I have on that. It seems as if the government of the day, as well as the United Kingdom, accepted that argument that the Court of Appeals, or that suggestion that the Court of Appeals made, right?
Yes.
In relation to offering something that is functionally equivalent to marriage.
That's right.
And they enacted the civil partnership
legislation
as a result of that. Now, here we have the Privy Council. Again, you said it's not part of their judgment.
Yes.
They have just opined
yes.
on this.
That's right.
Then some may argue, some may ask, then what prevents? Or isn't it then creating a balance if the same Privy Council's suggestion that was made there, since we followed the suggestion that was made by the Court of Appeals, now they make one in terms of same-sex marriages. What is to prevent the UK and the government of the Cayman Islands from saying, well, here's what the Privy Council has said, and we're going back to the legislature and done it because they said that's that. Even though it is not as strong, what they're saying there doesn't prevent the legislature from doing it, whereas the Court of Appeals said that they would encourage the government to introduce legislation that is functionally equivalent to marriage, and as a result, we ended up with the civil partnerships legislation.
Yes, but how would the Legislative Assembly do that?
Okay, yeah. Let's answer that when we come back from the break. Paul just reminded us that we're getting so engrossed into this that we forget about the commercial breaks, folks.
Okay.
Please stay tuned. For the record, with Dr. Steve McPhee will continue, so please stay tuned.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, K-Man.
Are you feeling sick, but don't feel ill enough to go to the doctor? Ask your pharmacist for advice. Here at West Bay Pharmacy, our pharmacists have been trained to offer helpful, easy-to-understand advice on the treatment of everyday minor ailments for yourself and all the family. Anything from headaches, cough and sore throat, to cold sores, our pharmacist will know when medical help is needed and will not hesitate to refer you to your doctor if your symptoms demand it. Like doctors, our pharmacists have a professional code, which means all personal information you give them will be treated in the strictest confidence. Visit us today at West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
JN Money, money touchdown. Send the money now, reach wow. You say you need some money, JN Money, I can send it in a hurry. Get through quick when you come collect your cash, or use your money card and swipe it in a flash. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah. Send and receive funds at any JN Money location. It's fast, affordable, and convenient. Money touchdown with JN Money. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah.
Call 345-945-2014 for details. Available at JN Money locations across the Cayman Islands.
You know what I love to do with my family? Go fishing. I can put the bait on and cast and reel the line all by myself. My mommy and daddy say when they were little, there were plenty more fish to catch, but now there are lots more people fishing, so it's harder to find them. That's why we have marine parks now. They set some areas aside so the fish there can have babies and grow bigger. Then they swim out to other areas where I can catch them. Having the marine parks means there will still be fish there when I'm grown up and fishing with a family of my own.
For more info, download the Cayman DOE app or visit doe.ky.
Your Radio Cayman 6 p.m. news, Monday through Friday, is brought to you by Logic. Your life connected.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Dr. Steve Macfield. The main topic that we're discussing this morning is the decision, or topics, I should say, are the decisions made by the Privy Council in respect of the appeals on same-sex marriages made by the Cayman Islands and Bermuda, those decisions. And that discussion is taking place with Dr. Steve Macfield. Meanwhile, we do have a caller, so let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Connor, and I know you know who is calling back again. But
Yes,
anyway,
sir. Yes, sir. Not a problem. You go right ahead, sir.
I don't need to call my name. I know you know who I am. But I'm not ashamed to open my mouth when I need to.
Sure, sure.
And I think it's something in the interest of the country. And anyway, first of all, I'd like to say that I hope no one is considering, from Parliament's standpoint, anything whatsoever to present any proposal to change or to accept same-sex marriage. It's been through enough. The Privy Council has ruled against it because we have the right to do it from the legislature standpoint. Does not mean that we should.
Mm-hmm.
What about, I agree being fair to everyone, but is it fair if the majority would not want something like this to go even presented? Is that fair to the majority to support a minority of a handful of people in what they would like to have because they're so inclined and want to live that kind of lifestyle? That should be a no. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
The only way anything like that should be done would be from a referendum, result of a referendum, because there's no way that any legislative or cabinet member or parliament member should even think about proposing anything to pertaining this. I just hope the governor won't use his powers or try to say that he has the power to change it, like you did with the excuse me, with the civil partnership. We had to swallow that, but I guarantee we're not going to be in this.
Okay, but Mr. Tommy, what do we do how do we go about protecting the rights and respecting the rights and the choices of the minority as well? While we live in a democratic society, and part of that democratic principle is majority rule, but at the same time we also have to look out for the minority. How do we balance that?
I don't think we should have to accept what the minority might want to do. They could have any kind of crazy idea. They might want to marry a person, might want to marry a dog. Is that reasonable to allow that to happen? I don't think we should even think about what the minority would want to do. It's a democratic system. The majority should rule and nothing else.
Well, Mr. Barton, one of the things that I see with what the Privy Council has said, that they reiterated that from what the Court of Appeal said, is that for the legislature to move in the direction that you are suggesting that they should not move, they would have to amend the Constitution. Section 14.1 would have to be amended. They would have to amend that to allow that, and because as the court said, that because that's a specific and a special provision of the Constitution, they would have to be. I agree with you. It should go to a referendum. Mm-hmm. It should not be the legislature alone try to go up to UK and have that amended. It should go to the people.
Mm-hmm. So, Doc, it is established. It is an established fact now.
Yes.
Accepted. So you can't go and argue it any place else again that Section 14 does not.
No, you
prevent,
can't.
Prevent that. That's
just done. It's a done deal.
Yes,
you cannot do that.
Yes.
And so it seems to me then if the government, if the legislature, the legislature wants to do that, they would have to. It seemed to me that they would. Anyone who does that right now, with
political peril,
for the political peril, would be not in the best interest of their political tenure. That's what it seems to me.
Well, while I hate no one, I feel that the minority, if they choose to think differently than the majority. Mm-hmm. That's their problem. They'll have to figure out how they're going to manage. If they want to do something their way, that's opposite to nature, opposite to what the Bible calls for, they'll have to figure out what they want to do, either straighten their lives out and do the right thing, or leave what, as far as I'm concerned, they've already gotten more than they should get as far as this civil partnership is concerned.
I was going to ask you what your views were on that, whether or not you felt that was sufficient, or that should have been done.
That should not have been done either, as far as I'm concerned. But it's done, and I think that's as far as we should go in that direction. Not even give it a thought to do anything further than that, because I think that was thrown in our laps without the ability for us to object even pertaining that. But it seems to be a legal document now, or it seems like it was done legally with the approval of UK.
I'm still waiting for the for that judicial review application.
Yes, I'm still waiting for that, because that case was also heard last year by Mr. Justice Williams. Mm-hmm. And we're still waiting for the judgment. We don't know. But do you think that it's? I know I don't have to ask you if do you think. I believe that your position is that the denial of same-sex marriage in Cayman is not an existential threat to our democracy. So it's not an existential threat to our democracy. So there is no hurry to fix that. Is that what you is that what I can gather from your argument?
Well, I would have no reason to want to change that the Constitution supports. Why I'm calling is to make sure that anyone that has the ability to present this to the Legislative Assembly or Cabinet or whatever would never happen. And I don't see how people can hide behind the fact that everybody needs to be treated fairly. Yes. How are you going to, if someone wants to do something opposite of what the majority wants to do, is that being fair to the majority? If you go doing something opposite of what they want?
So, Mr. Bodden, your position then is, if I can sum it up, your position then is that, bearing in mind what the Privy Council has said, the judgment, and the fact that we have the civil partnership law, which gives them the right to marry, just have the same rights as married couples. A fully informed Cayman society would understand that this law, this section 14.1, does not need any urgent reform.
For sure.
Okay. Yep.
Thank you.
Mr. Tommy, I want to thank you very much for that. And, please feel free at any point in time to call in here. We here, we discuss things. We don't try to change anyone's position. I think it's important for everyone to be able to express their views, even if they're different from others.
And our position is not for or against anyone. Yep. We're just discussing the ramifications of the judgment and what the judgment means.
Okay.
I understand. I just want you to know my feeling on it.
Certainly.
And what should be done or not done in regard to this decision by the Privy Council.
You very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Tommy. You have a great day. Folks, time for us to take a commercial break. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Thinking of getting a hybrid but don't know much about them? Vamt Motors has 3 great reasons why you should own the Toyota CHR. Hybrid save fuel, run cleaner, reduce CO2 emissions, and even recharge their batteries while being driven. So there's no need to plug in your hybrid, making it both economical and fun to drive. And you don't have to replace your battery every 2 years. The CHR Hybrid is reliable, providing up to 1 million kilometers on the same battery and engine. Oh, and now you can save $2,000 off the Toyota CHR, starting at only $33,500.
That's way more than 3 reasons.
True, but the best one is that it's on sale now. Test drive the Toyota CHR today at Vamt Motors, Walkers Road, while stocks last.
Make your house into a home. Welcome to Brand Source Home Gallery, your source for premium products and a premium experience. We'll design and install your dream kitchen with crafted cabinets, complemented with elegant appliances. We'll fill it with quality houseware and cookware. Custom-designed closet and storage solutions organize and beautify any area. And with the finest bedding, you'll get a perfect night's sleep knowing Brand Source Home Gallery has everything you need to make your house a home.
JN Money touchdown. Send the money now. Reach wow. You say you need some money. JN Money, I can send it in a hurry. Get through quick when you come collect your cash, or use your money card and swipe it in a flash. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah. Send and receive funds at any JN Money location. It's fast, affordable, and convenient. Money touchdown with JN Money. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah.
Call 345-945-2014 for details. Available at JN Money locations across the Cayman Islands.
Mommy, Daddy, Anna, Uncle, please go get your COVID-19 booster shot and take care of yourself. You're the reason I got vaccinated.
You must practice social distancing and proper hand hygiene and never forget your mask. Help me, help you. Get your COVID-19 booster shot and take care of conditions that make you vulnerable. Get boosted. We're in this together.
Visit www.gov.ky/coronavirus to learn more.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Dr. Steve Macfield. We're discussing the issue of same-sex marriages, the decision of the Privy Council in relation to the Cayman Islands case, the Chantel Day-Vicky Borden case, as well as the Bermuda case. Doc,
yes.
Irrespective of what side of the issue you're on, I believe again that kudos have to go out to the Cayman negotiators in really during the constitutional negotiations. I also heard reference to the fact that maybe one of the cases or one of the courts may have made mention of something of the fact that how do you make decisions and or all of the parties or the persons, the parties who are being impacted by those decisions are not in the room. And I think that reference may have been made to Cayman when we were negotiating our Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And while we didn't have any organizations like what we have today as representing the LGBTQ community, we did have the members of the Human Rights Committee. It was a committee at that time, not a commission, because we were just negotiating our new constitution, which then established a Human Rights Commission. But we did have a committee, and the late Melanie McLaughlin was there, as well as Miss Sarah Collins. They were there representing the Human Rights Committee and held their ground, made strong arguments. Then, of course, you had the ministers group there as well. So I wouldn't go as far to say that the LGBTQ community and those being affected by the Bill of Rights, that they were not in the room. Now, whether or not they were outnumbered, well, that's another story altogether. Yeah. But at the same time, there were legislators on the government side as well as the opposition, side as well, who were arguing in their favor as well. Because remember now, the government, was split, on this whole the whole issue, as well, as far as the Bill of Rights is concerned. But kudos have to go out to the way that the legislation, the Bill of Rights, was crafted. We know that Ian Henry and Susan Dixon they went to great pains to try to get consensus on this, because they realized at the end of the day that when that 2009 Constitution went to referendum, if this issue hadn't been satisfactorily resolved to the satisfaction of the religious community, that we would not end up, the Constitution would not be approved. While it's still my belief that if the United Kingdom government had its way, they would have made same-sex marriages constitutional, and they would have had that enshrined in that protection enshrined in our Bill of Rights.
That is obvious why what they said at the end of the case. When they reiterated the fact that, well, the Legislative Assembly has the power to do that. They didn't have to do that. I would just left the case as it is. But it goes to show, and I concur with you with what you said about the talks in London and in Cayman, how consistent we were and what we wanted, and how we protected our heritage and our rights as Caymanians. Okay. How we were able to get that in the Constitution and to get it in such a way that it could not be changed even by the Privy Council.
Yes, it withstood legal scrutiny. High scrutiny.
The high scrutiny.
Yep. Okay, we have 3 callers. We're going to try. We have, of course, our 9 o'clock news. Let's see how many callers we can take before then. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Yeah, you guys was hitting the nail on the head in the question that I wanted to pursue. In that, I think the case went to the Privy Council because the applicants thought that they could have prevailed there, and I was of the same opinion too, knowing how the British, if they wanted to have their way, what it would have been. But my specific thing is I know the negotiations and the Bill of Rights and all of that, but what specific in law caused this case to go where it went? And can we, I mean, if our legislatures are so damn good to be able to prevail over prevail on an issue like this, can we use any of this tragedy to when it comes to our financial services, and how the EU and even sometimes the British target us? Can we do anything in legislation to fight them off this way? Because I mean, that's the only, if we can prevail in such a major issue, I think that strategy could be one to be replicated. I don't know.
Okay, that's a good point. Very good point.
Caller, the difference with that is that this is a court of law, and in the court of law, before the court of law, you are you still there, caller?
He would be listening. Go ahead.
This is a court of law, and in the court of law, you have lawyers who argue the cases, and you just cannot. On that level of appeal, you cannot just be dishonest in what you and the arguments you hear.
Yeah.
A judge could be dishonest, a court could be dishonest, but you just cannot be dishonest on that level, because the repercussions would have been so terrible in London about the dishonesty of a court who did not apply the law as it was, that there would be repercussions on them, and they do not want that to follow, would not want that to follow them through their career. But I would just like to say...
Okay, I'm going to try grab another caller first. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. There's only one thing that I need to add to what Mr. Thomas has said and that is God is still in control. Mm-hmm. When you look at it, if remember in Sodom and Gomorrah, God told them, He said, if you can find one righteous person, I won't destroy the city. So here we go. We found at least a few righteous people in Cayman, because we still have our moral laws and our biblical heritage. It is we call it one thing, to say, well, okay, these people are amongst us and we live as we are. Nobody has troubled them. But the thing that gets me is when you say something against that sect of people, it's hate crime. But they can come and say anything against them. I will term it normal people. It's not hate crime. I mean, I don't get it. It must be their way or the highway. Well, I'm glad the Privy Council ruled in the way that they ruled. And like I said, God is still in control. On the other note that Mr. Thomas made about the road, it's a bigger curve going in. If you look good at the poster, and I sent it to the WhatsApp as well.
Okay.
You'll see that it is a bigger curve that's going in.
Got you. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Okay, Doc, we still have about Paul. We're not going to have enough time for the next caller, so we'll take that caller after we go to the break. You ready for the headline news now? Okay, Doc. So we still have a minute. I can fit you into what you were going to say before I had to.
Well, before I say that, I just would like to reiterate what the Court of Appeals, what the Privy Council said in relation to what some other people have been saying about us and about how phony we are in our dealings, in our values that we says and that are enshrined in our Constitution. This is what the Privy Council says. The right to marry in Section 41 of the Bill of Rights has been drafted in highly specific terms to make it clear that it is a right freely to marry a person of the opposite sex. comparing Section 14.1 with Article 12 of the European Convention of Human Rights, which was the model for it, it is obvious that this language has been used to emphasize the limited ambit of the right and to ensure that it could not be read as capable of recovering same-sex marriage. The reference to the traditional Christian values in the preamble to the Constitution and the reference to the distinct history, culture, and Christian values in Section 1.2a of the Bill of Rights reinforced the point by referring to the cultural and religious values which led to the emphasis being given to opposite-sex marriage in Section 14.1.
Okay. Thank you very much for that, Doc. Folks, top of the hour, headline news at 9 o'clock. We still have callers on hold. After this short headline news, we will return, take your calls, so please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Radio Cayman,
the voice,
the heart, the soul of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Government reports that 57 cases of COVID-19 were logged on Sunday and Monday. There are an estimated 479 active cases in the Cayman Islands. The rolling 7-day average for March 14th was 29. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says peace talks with Russia are beginning to sound more realistic. The Ukrainian negotiator says there are, quote, fundamental contradictions during the talks, but certainly room for compromise. Kyiv officials said Russian forces shelled an apartment block this morning as the city imposed a curfew, quote, during a dangerous moment. Russian troops are holding 400 people, including doctors and patients, like hostages inside a hospital in Mariupol, according to the deputy mayor. About 20,000 people were able to leave the city on Tuesday, according to a senior Ukrainian official. President Zelensky will address U.S. Congress a little later, while U.S. President Joe Biden is expected to announce $800 million of military aid. Those are your headlines. I'm Kersley Fuller.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We still have one caller on hold, so we're going to take that caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. How are you?
Not bad. Unfortunately, I didn't get to hear the whole show, so I missed out.
Okay, don't forget, we got YouTube. You can go back and watch it on YouTube.
Yeah. I was grateful to be able to give input along with Mr. Billy Adams that contributed to the ultimate wording of Section 14 of the Constitution order.
Okay.
And I feel insulted. I feel wronged by European court taking the view that the right to family life could somehow be used to circumvent the concept that marriage is between a man and a woman only. And for our courts to follow them down that road, I don't think is good, because what they're essentially saying is that they could use another section of the Constitution order to nullify a specific section that is intended to prevent the concept of same-sex marriage. And what they have in effect done is they have given the Cayman Islands marriage. They just don't call it marriage. And so what they couldn't do through the front door of Section 14 they did through the back door of the right to family life.
And when you say they, you're talking about the European courts now, or you're talking about our civil partnership? Okay.
Yes, the European court.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And to me, that is the part that really that doesn't sit well for us, because that means that we can't have our own provisions constitutionally. Somebody else is going to decide what our constitutional arrangement should be.
Mm-hmm. You don't think that will change when the UK moves away from that organization, and then as an overseas territory of the United Kingdom, we get to follow their route, their step?
Well, if they withdraw from the European Convention on Human Rights, they haven't yet, so we'll have to see how it plays out. But that's the only way that could be rectified, in my view, or we go independent. That's the only option I can see. But what we actually have is the same-sex marriage. It's just not called that. It's called civil partnership, because the court said that it had to be equivalent. And so if I stab you to death, or I tie you up, and you can't get away to get food or water for 6 days and you die, which one of them is a murder and which one isn't?
Mm-hmm. So do you really believe that civil partnerships are equivalent to marriage? They said function. They use the word, the terminology, functionally equivalent. I don't know what they mean by that. It means that
we
that
have
it could.
A legal expert there that should be able
to Well, and we'll discuss that on there. But I see reference made on several occasions, and I believe even the courts spoke about that. The U.S. case, Plesser versus Ferguson, separate but equal, and we know at the end of the day that wasn't true.
Exactly.
Separate but equal. And I believe the same thing is going to end up with civil partnerships at the end of the day. They're not they're not equal.
Well, what it means is in its civil partnership, in its operation, in its application, it is the same as marriage. That's what it means. But caller, I would like to share with you that as we speak right now, the Parliament in England is contemplating, I think they're bringing a bill soon to sharpen the separation of powers, making the UK Supreme Court, the final court of appeal rather than the Strasbourg courts, as the ultimate judicial decider when it comes to interpreting the European Convention of Human Rights in the UK. That has come about because the UK has thousands, over there 60,000 people who are destined to be deported from the UK, and they have been challenging their deportation by using Article 8 of the European Convention of Human Rights, which says that they have a right to family life. We have been applying that here too. We have people with gun crimes, spent prison with gun crimes and robbery and all that kind of stuff. And when we send deportation order, when we order deportation, they have run to the court, and they have been using Article 8 of the European Convention of Human Rights to say that they have a right to family life, and the courts have been holding it. So when Parliament in England goes through that procedure, so that they can have the freedom to send people out of their country, that will come down to us also, because what they are doing, they're going to reform their Human Rights Act, which is now some 20 years old, to be able to do that.
Okay. Caller, still there?
Yes, I am. It's just that I've watched enough of the House of Commons to know that twists and turns that debate can take.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it might play out that way, but I'm a little hesitant to say exactly how I think it's going to be.
Yes. So if that happens, the United Kingdom courts will not have to follow Strasbourg's case law.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I hope that we can go down that road, because we should have, we do have the right. We're just not allowed to exercise it because of that ruling.
Yes.
I believe we have the right to say what the norms of our society is going to be, and we shouldn't be told by a culture halfway around the world that our culture is wrong.
I agree with you.
Okay.
So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, caller, for that as well. Paul, any callers on hold? No callers on hold. Okay, so, Doc, the other thing you mentioned earlier, and you read about the in relation to that as well, or during the arguments and everything, that what our preamble says, but the preamble in itself that's only sort of a recitation and introduction to our Bill of Rights.
That's right,
and it doesn't hold the force of law.
No, but it shows. But what it does, it shows our intention of the society that we want to have.
Yes,
that's what the preamble does, and that the society that we want to have. One of the things in the society that we wanted, and we voted to have in a referendum, was a society where marriage is only between a man and a woman. That is what the courts are saying.
But then we also say that we want everyone to be treated equally and all of those other things as
well.
Some of them are actually contradictory to us.
No, because the courts went on to say, that is not contradictory. It does not hinder the belief that you should be married because you're same sex has nothing to do with the fact that what the law says.
Yes, yeah, and that was used in the Bermuda case, exactly. Because the Bermuda case was also argued, or a counterclaim was freedom of conscience.
That's right.
Yes,
that's right.
Okay, let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Good morning, caller.
I agree with Brother Tom and several of your other callers that are against this same-sex marriage.
Okay.
They call it the right to marriage. I call it the wrong to marriage. And it's about marrying the same sex. If they want children, they need to marry the opposite sex. I don't know why they should allow them to adopt children when they marry the same sex, because they know that they can't produce children. Now, all you can hear is about human rights, because we need some human rights for the law-abiding citizens, not for the criminals all the time. Because that's why the crime has escalated so. Because they get legal aid to fight the worst kind of crime, to try and get them off. Now, when it comes to human rights, what about those people and other in West Bay down the by point that I read about on Cayman News Service, where they're doing some development down there, apartments or whatever it is, and they can't get no sleep, no peace, for noise, lights, bright lights, and all kind of ruction till 3 o'clock in the morning, all day Saturdays and all day Sundays. And then they don't have no hours of work for construction workers. Well, if they don't have any, they better start making some fast.
Yeah, and the dump trucks.
That's where people's human rights come in. We were living in our homes in peace and harmony, surrounded without any interruption. And now every rich developer can come here and put down any kind of development and don't care who they disturb, but who needs to start disturbing them, that approving it, that passing these laws and approving it. That's who needs to be disturbed.
Well,
not the other innocent people that can no better do.
Well, caller, there's an old saying that the strong do what they will and the weak suffer what they must. That is an old saying, and that happens here. And that is because we do not have the will to apply our domestic laws, our community laws. We do not have the will to do that. That is the reason why, Mr. For the Record, and I have been on this radio also asking them, please enforce the laws on the highways, on the roadways. Please enforce the traffic laws so that we can have that. Although we're stuck in traffic for a long time, there's also the danger of driving at night, the danger of driving in the daytime. We do not enforce those laws, which does not take a scientist to do. We did that before we became municipality with multiple nationalities and thousands of cars. We enforced the law before. We do not enforce our community laws, and therefore everybody gets away with it. And like I have saying, the strong do what they will, and the weak suffer what they must. That is the problem that we have in Cayman.
Well, I think that both me and you, we have the guts, the galls, and the strength, and people need to follow us.
Well, that is
our right.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, too.
Thank you very much, caller. Folks, we're going to take a commercial break. I believe we still have another caller on hold, Paul. We will take that caller as soon as we return, so please stay tuned.
2004, West Bay Pharmacy has kept their doors open to the local communities, even before, during, and after Hurricane Ivan. At West Bay Pharmacy, our staff provides so much more than pharmaceutical excellence. From the moment you walk through our doors to completing your cash out, our staff will have put your healthcare concerns at ease. We would like to take this moment to thank our loyal friends and customers. To us at West Bay Pharmacy, our patients are our primary concern. We provide thorough background checks and precise calculations to ensure your medical safety. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
Hi, I'm remodeling our bathroom. I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities, built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials, are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom-designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, Cayman's Kitchen and Bath Center.
The Cayman Islands government is honoring our uniformed services during its National Heroes Day Awards ceremony in Cayman Brac, Saturday, 19th March, hosted by the Honorable Premier and the Minister for Culture. Uniformed Services personnel, past and present, will be recognized at an invitation-only event at the Aston Rutty Civic Center. Watch this year's National Heroes Day Awards ceremony on the Brac from the comfort of your own home on the CIG Facebook page, CIG TV, cable and YouTube channels. For more information, email the protocol office on national events at gov.ky or call 244-1780.
Thinking of getting a hybrid but don't know much about them? Vamp Motors has 3 great reasons why you should own the Toyota CHR. Hybrids save fuel, run cleaner, reduce CO2 emissions, and even recharge their batteries while being driven. So there's no need to plug in a hybrid, making it both economical and fun to drive. And you don't have to replace your battery every 2 years. The CHR Hybrid is reliable, providing up to 1 million kilometers on the same battery and engine. Oh, and now you can save $2,000 off the Toyota CHR, starting at only $33,500.
That's way more than 3 reasons.
True, but the best one is that it's on sale now. Test drive the Toyota CHR today at Vant Motors, Walkers Road, while stocks last.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Dr. Steve Macfield. Before we go to the calls, Doc, one of our listeners has posed a question. I'm going to read it now, give you time to think about it while we take the calls, and then we can respond to it later. Person wanted to know whether or not the government will be reimbursed for the costs associated with the appeal.
Well, they didn't. The court didn't say anything about costs.
Well,
I don't know if that was discussed outside of the judgment or not. But I know in the Bermuda case, it's cost over $400,000.
Yeah,
in the Bermuda,
the whole
the
process
appeal, the Bermuda,
that they had spent so far in terms of the
$400,000 is what they spent in Bermuda.
Now, if it's a public interest case, which this to a certain extent is a public interest
I think
case,
so.
In that instance, you would find a situation where the both parties would bear their own costs.
Yes, I think so. I don't think that the court, that the Privy Council has. I don't think that anything about costs was argued because it was never mentioned in the judgment. So it seemed to me in the public interest case, each party would have bear their own costs and there would not be any cross costs. In other words, it would be in the judgment for against the losers or winners.
Yes, got you. Okay, let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
I call back again because when you were finishing up with my call, you made reference to the preamble. Was I understanding you to say that those? What exactly were you saying about
that the preamble of our Constitution has no legal effect?
Well, what aspect were you referring to at that particular moment?
Just all of it. All of it really. It's all aspirational. That's all aspirational.
Well, not entirely.
Okay.
If Mr. McPhail has his document handy, he could turn to Section 1, subsection 2, paragraph A. And my comments was dealing with culture.
Yes.
But you'll also find Christian values there as well.
That's right.
So that needs to be part of the Constitution. It's not just aspirational.
So it says that all of these things that are the preamble are of our informed intentions to be. That's what the command public people intend to be, to become. And if you look at what the judgment said, the judgment referred to the preamble of the Constitution. And it says, and in other words, it says that Section 14.1, Section 14.1 is a reflection of what has been in the preamble of the Constitution, which the court says. Let me read it again. It said the right to marry in Section 14.1 of the Bill of Rights has been drafted in highly specific terms to make it clear that it is a right freely to marry a person of the opposite sex. Comparing Section 14.1 with Article 12 of the ECHR, which was the model for it, it's obvious that this language has been used to emphasize the limited ambit of the right, and to ensure that it could not be read as capable of covering the same-sex marriage. The reference to the traditional Christian values in the preamble of the Constitution and the reference to the distinct history, cultural, and Christian values in Section 1.2a of the Bill of Rights reinforces the point by referring to the cultural and religious values which led to this emphasis being given to the opposite-sex marriage in Section 41. That is what the courts said. In the board's judgment, it is clear that within the scheme of the Bill of Rights, Section 14.1 constitutes a lex specialis in relation to the right to marry. Therefore, the interpretation of the other general provisions of Section 9, 10, and 16, which do not stipulate for a right to marry, must take account of this and cannot be developed to circumvent the express limits on the right to marry in Section 14.1. They cannot establish indirectly and by implications a right to marry which is not directly set out in the relevant expression provisions in the Bill of Rights. Interpreting them in that way, as Mr. Fitzgerald urges us to do, would have the effect of taking the rights in Section 14.1 redundant, of making the rights in Section 14.1 redundant, which would clearly be contrary to the intentions of the drafters of the Bill of Rights.
Okay. So what we basically done, caller, there is our aspirational,
Yes.
our aspirations in the preamble. We have gone ahead and inserted those aspirations into Section 14.1.
Section 14.1.
As far as marriage is concerned.
Yes.
And the reason why Section 14.1 has the power that it has is because when you read Section 1, subsection 2, paragraph A, you see very specifically the word culture and Christian values.
That's right.
So it is in the Constitution itself. It is not a concept, or they are not concepts that are limited to the preamble.
Okay.
I just wanted to emphasize that.
Okay.
Because
Yes.
Some people say that these are aspirational. Some of them are, but not all of them.
Yeah, those that have been put into the body of our Bill of Rights. That's what makes them then, gives them legal effect.
Yes.
And hence why I say that a culture on the other side of the world shouldn't tell us we can't have our culture.
Got you. Okay. Thank you very much for that. I believe we do have another caller on hold. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. For the Record, and good morning, Mr. Chairman.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, sir.
I am doing really good. I have a question. So, given that the Court of Appeal pretty much upheld the Constitution of the Cayman Islands,
Privy Council.
Of the Privy Council, the Privy Council, was the governor wrong in inserting his powers at the time? Because had he not stepped in, there wouldn't be any civil partnership, to my understanding, or any equivalent. One. Two, the UK is not Cayman. We are distinct in culture, moral, and values. So what I mean by that, every law that the House of Commons passes, that doesn't mean all of those laws, to my knowledge, comes over to Cayman, unless there's a directive specifically, right? Wouldn't there be a problem with that? Meaning, if we took on every law that the House of Commons passes each week, there would be a lot of implications for Cayman. Three, I'm trying to think about the other question.
Okay.
But
can we take them one at a time and answer them? Let's go back to your first one. Repeat that again, and let's concentrate on that. Then we'll go to the second one.
Was His Excellency the Governor wrong for taking a directive from the current, whatever they call that, the Foreign Commonwealth Office, in terms of inserting himself into a cultural or national cultural situation where
you mean by bringing into civil partnerships legislation by order in council?
Yes, and the Court of Appeal upheld that.
Well, the Court of Appeal suggested that in the meantime that the government should provide something that is the functionally equivalent, or the functional equivalent to marriage to Day and Chantel, to the couple. That was acted upon. Bear in mind, it was only a recommendation made. We believe it had no binding effect on the government. The government was persuaded that they felt that by so doing, that it may ward off any challenge, or may help to mitigate any challenge in relation to the Privy Council, and may have sort of like lean on their side. So that was done. Now, what you're saying basically is that when in hindsight, we may not have needed that based on what the Privy Council has now decided.
Yeah, but let's be honest. We weren't suggested. We were being forced by the governor and his necessary overreach through the Foreign Commonwealth Office to say, well, if you don't do this, the UK going to have stepped in.
Yeah.
That's what it came down to.
Yeah.
Well, that is the attitude with certain governors.
Yeah.
That they were being very forceful. So
Yep.
now when the Privy Council says, okay, Cayman, you're right, the governor is we're not hearing no sorry.
Okay. Your the second point was.
The second point that I have, OC, Cayman can't adopt every law that the UK passes because
we shouldn't.
Cayman is culturally distinctive. I know the governor in his thing said, the other overseas territories have accepted the same-sex marriage. I would beg to differ because you see the problem with Bermuda right there now.
But some have. But he didn't say all, but some have.
He says British overseas territory.
He said some of them. I'll go back and read. I can give you the exact wording if you want. Go ahead. Continue talking.
Yeah, as a young person, though, I think our Caymanian community should be a little bit more accepting towards different views, because based on all the previous callers, they've just pretty much said, well, this is Cayman. We Christian, we're not going to change nothing about that. But the Bible says, "He who is without sin cast the first stone," which I know none of them. This Cayman, let's be honest, right? But we need to be a little bit more. Yes, stick to our values, but don't disrespect the other person just because they don't fall in line with what you think. That's what I'm saying.
That's true.
But thank you so much.
Thank you very much, caller, for that as well. And again, just to repeat what the governor said, he says that same-sex marriage is legal throughout the United Kingdom and in several UK overseas territories. So.
But in all the nations, the same-sex marriage is only legal in about 30 countries. Not.
Yeah.
So
and I think one South American one, was it Argentina or Chile? One of the other just did theirs recently as well. Got to go to a commercial break, folks. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay.
No one can stop me when I taste the feel.
Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
Make your house into a home. Welcome to Brand Source Home Gallery, your source for premium products and a premium experience. We'll design and install your dream kitchen with crafted cabinets, complemented with elegant appliances. We'll fill it with quality houseware and cookware. Custom-designed closet and storage solutions organize and beautify any area. And with the finest bedding, you'll get a perfect night's sleep knowing Brand Source Home Gallery has everything you need to make your house a home.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
The Ministry of Education invites all eligible Caymanians to apply for an Education Council Local Scholarship for the 2022-2023 academic year. To apply for a local scholarship or learn more about the various scholarship offerings, please visit the Scholarship Secretariat Unit's website at www.moescholarships.gov.ky. Applications close on Saturday, April 30th, 2022.
Tune in Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. for the Daily Sports Report, covering local, regional, and international sports. Proudly brought to you by Dr. Wayne Porter, offering a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. Call 946-9020 to book your appointment today.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Dr. Steve McField. We still have a few callers on hold. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yes, hello. This is Chastine Borden. I'd like to comment.
Sure.
On the same-sex marriage.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why we do not believe in a same-sex marriage is because in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth is without form and so forth.
Mhm.
And then he created everything, these things, sun, moon, and so forth. Last, he created man. And after he made man, he realized man was alone. He had nobody to communicate with. And he needed someone opposite of him. And, of course, he performed a miracle and an operation on Adam and brought forth a woman to be his companion. And he said that they two shall be one flesh. It didn't say he made another man to go with another man. He made a woman to be opposite so that they can have communication with one another and bear forth children. We wouldn't have any children on earth if God hadn't done it this way. And I do not understand how we, as people in our Constitution, fought for it, put it plainly, and marriage is between a man and a woman. Nobody should be able to change that because it was done by our people in the Cayman Islands, our Cayman people, and all those that were residents, whatever. The governor has no right to change it. He cannot go or should not be able to go to the government and confuse them again and let them get afraid also to make this decision that we can go against it.
Okay.
And a man.
I don't think that people should get the impression that the governor is going in that direction now. But what do you the civil partnerships legislation that we have in place? Are you in favor or not in favor of that?
That's foolishness as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
Marriage is marriage, and when you have a marriage, every marriage I know about, people have prayed and asked God to unite them together. And I know God isn't going to answer anybody's prayer that's against his word. So his word said, a man must leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife, and they shall be one flesh. All right?
Okay.
You can't change God's word. And I love all the people, but they are just led astray. They're not following the word that God has given to us. And when we go against God's word, we pay the penalty. Our community gets confused and mixed up. And I think that I know that we need to stand by God's word. These are the people that are planning, wanting to marry and so forth, that are same-sex. They're against the word of God. And one day, all of us will face him. So we need to be obedient to him. The reason why I believe it, and everybody else that believes same-sex marriage is wrong, believe it because it's God's word. And if we disobey God in any way, we will face him someday. And they'll either go up to heaven or down to hell. Okay. And I don't want to see anybody going to hell, so I would like to see everybody turn to know Jesus as their Savior.
Caller, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much
for that. Paul, any more calls on hold? Okay, few things we want to cover, so we're going to cut the phone lines off for a while because I have a few WhatsApp messages as well that I want to share with our audience. And if time allows, we will open up the phone lines again. I just want to say that I mentioned earlier, it's Chile that has introduced same-sex marriages. I think sometime last week that was done. Guatemala had placed a ban on same-sex marriages, and today, it has been reported that the Guatemala Congress has shelved the ban that they had on same-sex marriages, and we know that the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, that one of their objectives is to have all of their members adopt some sort of provisions for same-sex marriages as well. I'll go and find that for you. Folks, all I'm doing is sharing the information with you to show you exactly what's happening, not only in the Cayman Islands, throughout the world. Not making any suggestions that we in the Cayman Islands have to follow what is being done there, not taking any sides whatsoever, just providing a platform for you to express your views while at the same time providing you with information that you may not have at hand, at the moment as well. So one of our listeners has written in, this is pretty long, I'll probably have to paraphrase some of it. Person says, there are, as I see it, some tasks that flow out of the Privy Council's great ruling. Says, we will notice that there was a sting in the tail of the judgment. This was the suggestion that the legislature should bring in a same-sex marriage law, even when the court said it should. And here I'll correct you. The court said it is left up to the legislature. That's where it has to be done. They're not saying that they should do so. No, they're just telling you the forum where it has to be done and whose responsibility it is to do so. So they say even when the court said it would be unconstitutional according to the Constitution. And
according to the present
right,
provisions now.
And you have said that they would have to change that.
They would have to amend the Constitution, amend Section 14.1.
Exactly. Because person goes on to say, I don't know how the legislature could really do that without changing the Constitution, which they're agreeing with us itself. But it's something we need to watch very closely. If they tried to do that without changing Section 14 of the Constitution, there would be an incompatibility, surely. Yep, they're getting it right. However, the law, if it were brought in, could still be operable while they decide how to remedy the incompatibility. Of course, they would only do that by changing Section 14. Meanwhile, the new law could be brought into force. So if there is any sign of what's happening, an adjusted marriage law in the works, there needs to be very serious objections to any such clear breach of the Constitution. So I think they're saying something that we agree with as well. Here's another person has written and said, good morning. Systems of governance. In relation to today's topic, it does not seem that the Caymanian people, by and large, do not fully appreciate that we are operating under two systems of governance, with the administering power often at odds to what we the people, with our historic culture and traditions, desire. With your show in particular, it is obvious we are maturing as a nation, and discussion is moving towards the issues of self-determination in general. This is a natural evolution as people recognize the drawbacks of two systems of governance. So I want to thank that caller, that writer, for that as well. This person says, the Parliament failed to pass a civil union law per the court's declaration. The governor then acted. Okay. All righty. Paul, we're going to take that last commercial break now. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Are you feeling sick, but don't feel ill enough to go to the doctor? Ask your pharmacist for advice. Here at West Bay Pharmacy, our pharmacists have been trained to offer helpful, easy-to-understand advice on the treatment of everyday minor ailments for yourself and all the family. Anything from headaches, cough and sore throat, to cold sores, our pharmacist will know when medical help is needed and will not hesitate to refer you to your doctor if your symptoms demand it. Like doctors, our pharmacists have a professional code, which means all personal information you give them will be treated in the strictest confidence. Visit us today at West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
New to Cayman, the Cayman Documentary Festival. Real world problems, real world solutions. 5 documentaries, 5 discussion panels. March 16th to the 20th at the Camana Bay Cinema. Documentaries include domestic abuse, environmental protection, mental health awareness, technology and finance, and music and heritage. Tickets available at fanango.com for $25. Funds benefiting Plastic Free Cayman, Crisis Center Cayman, Alex Panton Foundation, NCVO, and Cayman Arts Festival. The Cayman Documentary Festival. Real world problems, real world solutions. March 16th to the 20th at the Camana Bay Cinema.
You can now book and pay online for your certified lateral flow test at www.hsa.ky/appointment. It's fast, easy, and convenient. Certified LFTs are $25 per test per person. HSA's testing center is located at 131 Center, McClendon Drive, behind Foster's Airport. Walk-ins for certified LFTs are also available. Need a PCR test for travel? These are now only $75. Visit hsa.ky/appointment for more information.
Come join the viewing party for the 70th edition of the International Miss World Pageant live from Puerto Rico. Wednesday, March 16th at 6 p.m. Carew, Camana Bay. Hosted by the Miss World Cayman Islands Committee. Meet our past Miss World queens and learn more about the Miss World Cayman Pageant and Girl Power Cayman. All are invited. Join us at the Miss World viewing party, Carew, Wednesday, March 16th at 6 p.m. See you there.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orit Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're on the last leg of the show this morning with Dr. Steve McPhail. So far, I have shared with you, amongst other things, the statement by the governor in relation to the Privy Council's decision. Also, a statement by the Honorable Wayne Panton, Premier of the Cayman Islands, in relation to that ruling as well. We also have a statement by the Human Rights Commission. I'm not sure whether or not time will allow for us to share that one, but I will share with you now statement made by the Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Roy McTaggart, on the Privy Council's ruling on same-sex marriage. And it says, that the Privy Council's ruling regarding same-sex marriage in the Cayman Islands has settled several significant constitutional issues. That is, the Privy Council agreed with the 2019 Court of Appeal decision that the Constitution supported by the marriage law denotes marriage as being between opposite-sex persons. As such, there is no right to marriage for same-sex couples. This follows what has also been determined by international case law. Also, the Privy Council further agreed with the Court of Appeal that same-sex couples are entitled to legal protection, which is functionally equivalent to marriage under the Constitution and international law. Next bullet point. The ruling of the Privy Council confirmed the Civil Partnership Act passed into law by the government in 2020 did provide the necessary legal protections to same-sex couples. Next bullet point. And by extension, the ruling has again clarified the interpretation and ability of the court to amend laws and put itself in the place of the Parliament. If a law is determined by the courts to contravene the Constitution, then it should be for Parliament to have the opportunity to fix it. In July 2020, the progressive-led government brought the Domestic Partnership Bill to the Parliament to provide the necessary legal protection to same-sex couples and satisfy the government's legal obligation. It should be noted that the Court of Appeal, in its 2019 ruling in favor of the government, also stated that, and quote, this court is an arm of government. Any constitutional settlement requires the executive and the legislature to obey the law and to respect decisions of the court. It would be wholly unacceptable for this declaration to be ignored. I believe in they're pointing that out as to why it was necessary for the domestic partnership law. It goes on to say the events unfolded as they did, and the domestic partnership bill failed passage in Parliament by one vote. Regrettably, several members of the present packed government vehemently opposed the domestic partnership bill and voted against it. However, all members of the current progressive opposition voted for the bill. The introduction of the domestic partnership bill was the right thing to do as a society that values each and every person within it, regardless of race, creed, gender, or sexual orientation. It was our view then, and it is still our view, that in voting down the bill, Parliament, in full knowledge of what would likely follow, abdicated its responsibility under the law and did so in contravention of an explicit declaration of the Court of Appeal to provide same-sex couples with necessary protections, failing which the Court of Appeal said that the UK government should act. With the Parliament abdicating its responsibility, the Governor, with the instruction of the UK, was then obligated to bring into law the Civil Partnership Act 2020 using the power provided under Section 81 of the Constitution. As did the Domestic Partnership Bill, the Civil Partnership Act provided the required legal protections for same-sex couples that are functionally equivalent to marriage. The other unfortunate result of Parliament's failure to carry out its legal obligations was to give the UK government reason to not proceed with the agreed change to our Constitution to remove the ability of the unelected governor under Section 81 of the Constitution to make laws. That provision was hard won during our constitutional negotiations with the United Kingdom, and regrettably, it was lost. With this ruling, I pray that the civil partnership law will be accepted by the entire community as the law of the land and will end the harmful rhetoric that has unfortunately characterized some of the public debate. I suspect that, as has happened in the UK and elsewhere, over time, most Caymanians may come to accept same-sex marriage. Should this be the case, then it would be right for the Parliament to bring this about and not a court of law. So that's the statement issued by the Honourable Roy MacTaggart, leader of the opposition, issued on behalf of the Progressives. Doc, over to you.
Well, there were some things that we didn't say about what happened in Bermuda. Now, you remember that Bermuda has the domestic partnership act.
Yes, they have ours.
And we have the domestic partnership law.
Uh-huh.
Yes, which both them. Mm-hmm. And there's a question that one of the callers said that we shouldn't even have that.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yes. So, this is what the court said about the Domestic Partnership Act in Bermuda.
Okay.
The court said, and the court was trying, in the passage here was trying to strike a balance.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It said the Domestic Partnership Act was passed to bring about a democratic solution to a divisive debate in Bermuda over same-sex marriage, and to do so in a way which accommodated the position of both sides of the debate. Do you think do you say that was happened here similarly?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. To accommodate, to yes. But the course went on to say, this is very important. This was about the whole question of conscience. Remember they say this conscience? This is what the court said about Bermuda in the Bermuda case. Taking another approach, the judges said that the respondent's belief in the legal recognition of same-sex marriage was not an expression of conscience, and that in the Bermudas, and that Section 8 cannot be interpreted as requiring the state to give such legal recognitions. So, to believe in same-sex marriage is not a belief, and it's not an expression of conscience.
Exactly. Yeah. I read that. That was very interesting.
Very
the way
interesting.
That was laid out there. The whole issue of conscience.
Very interesting.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not an expression of conscience. This has to do with sex orientation. It has nothing to do with conscience. And so it seems to me then that by the cause that we have had on the radio, and by what the things have been written in the media, is that I would say that there is a pervasive view against same-sex marriage in the country. Would you agree with that? That there's a pervasive view against same-sex marriage in the country.
I would say that, yeah, if at this point in time, if we were to take a poll or if a referendum was held, that the issue of same-sex marriage, those in favor of it, it would be defeated.
Yes. So in those circumstances, then, what do we do with this thing still lighting fire, where people want to go on beyond the Privy Council's decision, where they want to go someplace else? They're not satisfied with the highest court in the Commonwealth decision that has set this matter to rest. What then?
Well, I believe in I believe in the fact that everyone should have the ability to explore and to exhaust all of the legal remedies that they have. And if they feel that another legal remedy exists for them, it may be a Pyrrhic victory at the end of the day. It may be that, depending on the force of law that the European Court of Human Rights may have at that point in time that the decision is made, it may be a Pyrrhic victory, for them. But I believe that they should. What has to happen in the Cayman Islands, like other things, and I believe this whole issue of same-sex marriages is likely to evolve much quicker than, say, the whole concept of self-determination and the people of the Cayman Islands deciding that we want to be able to make all of the decisions on our own, rather than being a child of a foreign entity, of a foreign country. That the whole concept of same-sex marriages is going to evolve much faster in the Cayman Islands, and I believe that is what has to happen. We have to wait for that evolution to come about, because as we speak, we're not there yet. We're not there.
So, would you agree with me then that what's implied in the Privy Council judgment at the end of it, when it's leaving this to the legislature, what's implied that you will not get in there for the remedy if in the Court of Appeal?
Yeah,
but in the European courts.
That's quite possible.
And
yes,
that,
yeah.
and that the only thing that they see is by us making the decisions in our own legislature to change that.
And you know what that does also, Doc? That reinforces what the UK has said all along. This is a domestic issue.
Yes.
The people of the territories, it is something for them to decide, and alone for them to decide, even though they went against that, and by ordering council introduce the domestic partner legislation. But when they will say through the other side of their mouth, now we did that because we had a legal obligation to do so based on what the Court of Appeals recommendation. And I believe that it's a little wishy-washy there as to, the question is, suppose the government had decided not to introduce a civil partnership legislation, what force of law would the Court of Appeals had in that, whereas it was only mainly a recommendation?
They would have no force of law to do so.
Okay.
No force of law to do so.
Yeah.
And so it comes down on that passage in the judgment that the court said the domestic partnership was passed to bring about a democratic solution to a divisive debate in Bermuda over same-sex marriage, and to do so in a way which accommodated the position of both sides to the debate. And when you look at our Domestic Partnership Act, it is no different from being married. The only thing, you don't have the ceremony in church.
But you think it provides all of the legal
It provides
protection?
everything, all the protection that they need. It even provides protection under the immigration law, transition law. It gives the right to live, a right to status, a right to permanent residence, a right to work. It gives everything that you need.
And to inherit
property
and stuff like that,
and everything, and to adopt children and whatever.
It's 10 o'clock, but another quick question. Do you believe that the Privy Council, if they could have found a way to interpret Section 14(1) otherwise, that they would have done so?
Yes. I believe that if they could have found a way to do so, but it would have been intellectually dishonest on their part to have gone out on a limb to do that. They would not do that in England. In some other place, they might have done it, but that would be too blaring and stuff. And that, and remember now, those men, their legacy is what drives them. Their legacy is what drives them.
Doc, I want to thank you very much. I think this has been a very fruitful discussion that we've had this morning. I want to thank all of those persons who participated. I think we may have missed one caller at the end there. Sorry we couldn't take that caller, but there will be other opportunities as well. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. So I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling Dwayne Banks at 12:15 for Talk Today. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health. And JN Money.
From abroad to yard.
Fast, affordable, convenient.